second name's Dolman. So even if they did do that wouldn't have stopped the bigoted question, because what people are struggling to understand here is the fact that there is a preconception due to people's prejudices of where people are from, and their heritage is different from where they're from. So when he says, I'm from Britain, it can be perceived by some people who are, I would say personally, overtly racist.
Come on. I sit down with that very funny man. Is it Ramesh Raghunathan? Do you know the man I mean? Ramesh?
Yeah, I do know. Yeah,
right. So Raghunathan, I'm told. So I said, really nice to meet you. Where are you from? I'm from London. Oh, sorry, yeah, but where's your family originate from? It originates from, I'm going to say Sri Lanka. I've no idea. I'm just trying to learn something about the man.
But Nick, I think the way that you've asked that question is, I mean, already you seem to
I've had that more times than you can imagine. I've had that more times than you can imagine when they learn my last name.
But I think what you've done there quite nicely is you've distinguished the difference between where are you from to where does your heritage reside.
I would never say heritage reside. I mean, for the love of God, I've not swallowed a dictionary. I'd just say, where's your family originally from? That's nothing offensive.
Why would you have asked me the same question as a white guy?
Well, I don't know your last name. Who's that batsman for England? Marcus de la Change or something? They just hired a new batsman who's not very good. But if I sat opposite him, hello, where are you from? I'm from Worcestershire. Oh, right. Your family name, where's that from then? Oh, it's from France. I don't know where it's from. Come on.
I think no, you're saying come on, but you've never been through it. So coming back to very good.
What have you not heard? I cannot tell you how many times I've been asked where I'm from.
When they ask you where you're from, or when anyone asks you where you're from, I can guarantee by the look of you and by the fact that your Queen's English,
have a very
they know
English
you come from a shire. They know you come from a shire, and as soon as you say that, they might go, but it's where you come from. Which is, but what you've just said to me,
I had a very English mum.
well, okay, great. But what you've just said to me is your questions come from an area of interest, which is absolutely fair. And I think we need to fight between the two.
Well, it's the way you ask it, isn't it? Where are you from? Or, oh, that's an interesting name. So where's the family from? I hear you. Marcus, best wishes to Harry. Thank you. Let's go to other matters, and you don't need reminding, sadly. And only for the third time in a 70-year reign, the Queen will not be there for the Queen's speech. Last time she wasn't present, 1959. Gosh, that's 60. Of course, she was pregnant. That's obviously why she wasn't able to attend in her early years. Now, it is reported that she has an issue with being seen in a wheelchair. Now, that might be because of her age, and I say that with massive respect. 96, were Mum still with me, she would be... I know she'd be 100 now. But anyway, of that generation, they don't take to frailty well. They don't like to be seen on... And I hope this isn't an offensive... They just call them Zimmer frames. I'm honestly not trying to be offensive if that's bad. No, it's a bad word. And Mum didn't even want to use one of those. And then you get one with the wheels. They hate it. I get it. I absolutely get it. But is there some kind of stigma? Would it really be that bad for us to see the Queen using a chair or a frame? Mick Scarlett is a journalist and disability rights campaigner who I understand you are a wheelchair user, I understand. How tough or otherwise is life like that then in the UK now? Good morning.
Good morning, Nick. I think the thing is it is quite difficult to be a wheelchair user in the UK. Even now, in the wonderful 21st century, I mean, I've just marked 41 years as a wheelchair user.
Oh, right. Okay.
For me, it's kind of how I do things. I can't even remember walking.
Right.
But I kind
do you mind my asking how old you are, sir? You don't have to.
I am 57 in August.
I see.
It happened when I was quite young.
Yeah, mid-teens.
And I remember the shock of it happening and it being a huge transition. Because I had it overnight as a severe illness, I didn't have much choice. And I think when it's something that gradually creeps up on you, as it is with the Queen, it's a bit of a transition because you feel like you're starting to lose function, and there's a grief thing. I think the thing is, in this situation, it's very difficult to separate the person and the role, because for someone like me, to see the Queen in a wheelchair would be a huge sort of impact on the psyche of the nation.
Right, talk me through that. What huge impact, positive or negative, or a bit of
impact? I think it would be a positive impact. Okay. It would allow, I mean, for one thing, everywhere she went would be made accessible, let's just say that, which would be great. We just all have to follow the Queen around the country. But I think that...
You'd enjoy the Windsor Horse Show last week. Now you look at the positives, yeah. And Ascot Derby would be great.
Ironically, I've worked with Windsor Castle, and Windsor Castle is very accessible. It's a great way to be a wheelchair user. But I think that it would say to the nation there is something acceptable about it. And I think that by having this underlying sort of, I don't really want to be seen in one feeling that's being put out, it reinforces the idea that there's something wrong with it. And it's not, I mean, for many people, when they finally go, right, I've got to use a chair, I don't want to, but I'm going to, it's really liberating. Because the world opens up. You're not in pain anymore. You're not, limited to a tiny amount of steps. You're not worried about falling over. I mean, I gave up trying to walk again after my illness because I kept falling over so much.
Right,
and
right.
It was a liberation I cannot describe.
Really?
There's nothing worse than trying to chat up a girl in a nightclub and then falling over in a kind of Del Boy style while you're talking to her. So sitting down was wonderful. And I think that sort of message is never got across about wheelchairs, is that they can set you free. So it would be wonderful, I think, if she did, even if she started using one around, her palaces and sort of just to get used to it, and then to come out and say to the nation, I've got years left in me now. Well, I can carry on working.
I think that's illuminating what you said. I'm very grateful, Mick. Thank you for your time. Mick Scarlett, journalist, disability rights campaigner, wheelchair user, for something like 40 odd years, if I've got my sums right. No, getting on for anyway. How interesting, because one reads, and I'm delighted to report that, she is in fine health. It's just her mobility. So here's the question. Do we want her to effectively almost hide away? I put that in single quotes because she'd never hide away, but not do this ceremony, the Maundy money, the remembrance that the cenotaph. Wouldn't we rather see her in a chair? What message would that send? Let's get your voices on the radio. That's what we're about in the morning. Enough of me banging on. Anne in Romford, what do you say, Anne? Good morning.
Yes, hello, good morning. I must say, I do think seeing the Queen in a wheelchair would be a wonderful example for disabled people. And I just wanted to tell you about my trip to Moorfields Eye Hospital yesterday with my disabled daughter and British Rail. We went from
your daughter use
station, which were very good.
Does your daughter use a wheelchair? Just to clarify.
Yeah, my daughter uses a wheelchair.
Right, okay, yeah, go ahead.
She was born with a disability.
Yeah.
So we got on the train fine at Liverpool Street Station. The fellow was there to meet us with the ramp, got her off. We went to Moorfields by taxi there and back. Came back to Liverpool Street. The guy saw us on the train and they rang ahead to Goodmayes Station to say which train that she was on. As we drew into the platform, there was nobody there. And fortunately, because she can just about stand, I got her off, and a girl that was in the carriage helped me get the wheelchair off. But if my daughter had been on her own, she would have had to have stayed on that train, and presumably when the train ended up at Shenfield, somebody would have found her on there. Then arrangements would have had to be made.
That's terrible.
But, it's just one example. British Rail have been marvellous, I must say, with disabled people, but when it falls down, I mean, you really suffer for it.
Those ramps, those big yellow ramps, are they locked, aren't they? So another passenger, if I saw it and I said to one person, hold the door, I'll get the ramp, I don't think I can release that ramp, can I? That's locked with a padlock, isn't it?
Right, it seems to be. Yeah. And also, the train wouldn't stay in the platform long enough for you to do it.
Well, if you held the door, it would. I mean, I assure you, if I stand in front of a train door, it's not going to close.
Yeah.
So if I did that and someone else raced off, but you're not going to get the ramp, so it won't work either. And by the way, by the time you're blocking the door, hopefully the driver's woken up to it and she will help. And what a shame. The rest of the trip went so well. I'm sorry it didn't finish well. Best wishes to your daughter. Cheryl in Nottingham. What do you say to this, Cheryl? Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. I'm disabled with cerebral palsy, which can be very painful, and it affects my mobility.
Yes.
And it also affects my eye muscles as well. And I was born with it.
Right.
I was born upside down, as they say, beach bird.
Ah, right. Okay. Yes.
And when they got me out, they got me out very quickly. Otherwise, I would have been much more disabled than I am now.
Oh, I see.
Lack of oxygen, you see.
Oh dear. Right. Okay. And you are in a wheelchair, are you then?
No, love, no. But I cannot walk without my walking frame.
You walk with a frame. I see. Okay.
Yes, I do, love. Now, there were 4 powerful clicks in the church I used to attend. Now, at the lunch club one day, I saw two of them imitating the different way that I walk. Muslim Christians. Now, I was bullied by them for 12 years before I finally left that church, as I couldn't cope with it anymore.
I'm so
I would
sorry.
like to say that bullying of disabled people is widespread, both in religious and secular communities.
That's awful.
And I have to say, there are a lot of benefit claimants haters out there. You often hear people say, oh, they're scroungers and all that sort of thing, you know? So that was the issue I wanted to talk to you about.
What would it mean to you if the Queen were to walk down to the state opening of Parliament using a walking frame?
I don't see why she has a problem. If she's disabled, she's disabled. And, you know, I walk around with my frame out and about, and because I can't walk without it.
Yeah, no, I that was a time when my mum was like that, so I do know it was the only way we could get her to the shops, and sadly, soon after that, the only way to get to the shops was in a wheelchair. Cheryl, thank you. Be well. We will stay with this conversation. We must, of course, look as well at the political meat of what is going on at the state opening of Parliament.
Brexit, immigration, the police and the NHS. This Queen's speech is about Boris Johnson trying to deliver on his promises. I'm LBC's Theo Usherwood in Westminster.
Report after this, 9:45 LBC News headlines then, Simon Conway.
Prince Charles will read the Queen's speech for the first time later as Her Majesty misses the state opening of Parliament due to her mobility problems. An official in Ukraine says the bodies of 44 civilians have been found in the rubble of a building destroyed by Russian forces in March. Sales of used electric cars in the UK have reached a record high. LBC weather becoming mostly dry with some sunshine in the south, sunny spells and showers further north, a high of 21 degrees.
LBC travel, I'm Joanne Webb in Newport Talbot. The M4 remains closed westbound between junctions 41 at the Baglan interchange and junction 42 at Swansea East, and that's because a lorry has overturned. There are severe delays on the approach and on the surrounding routes. Long queues as well on the M1 southbound in West Yorkshire to junction 44 at Leeds South. That's because of an ongoing investigation and only one lane is open. In Essex, it's very busy on the M25 anti-clockwise at junction 28 at the A12, where a lorry's broken down. There's also been a fuel spillage, and also on the M25 anti-clockwise queues at junction 30 at the A13. That was after a lorry was on fire and one lane remains closed.
Coming up at 10 on LBC, James O'Brien.
So when they said we should move on from Partygate, they meant we shouldn't move on from Partygate. And when they said Keir Starmer must resign if he gets a fine, they meant that he no. I need your help.
James O'Brien on LBC.
Selling your car doesn't have to mean haggling with strangers or pretending to be a car connoisseur. Simply sell your car the motorway way. It's the new sell your car from home way. All while car dealers compete to give you the best price way. It's the you could get up to £1,000 more way. This is the new way to sell your car. This is the motorway. Sell your car at motorway.co.uk. For pricing claim verification, visit motorway.co.uk.
Call the Ferrari now. 0345 6060 973 LBC.
Experience. It comes in handy when planning to go on an all-inclusive cruise. It's knowing that all-inclusive can mean too inclusive. Having to get your wallet out every 10 minutes. Included. Endless queues. Included. Being crammed into a dining room. Included. Well, here's an alternative all-inclusive experience on a Saga boutique cruise. Specialty dining included. Gratuities included. Your own balcony included. Dining en masse definitely not included.
2023 season now on sale. Search Saga Boutique Cruises. Saga. Experiences everything. Over 50s only.
You love Zoom for video meetings? Now, choose Zoom to power your phone communications too. Zoom Phone works within the Zoom app as your business phone system. Zoom Phone's secure HD audio and enterprise-grade reliability keep you connected to your teams and your customers. And it's easy to use on mobile, desktop, or desk phone. Empower your workforce with Zoom Phone. Zoom. How the world connects.
Failing dental bridges, gum problems and periodontal disease, broken or missing teeth. Don't feel like your life is on hold. There are solutions. Here's Andrew Darwood from the Darwood & Tanner Dental Practice.
Our team provide bespoke solutions to patients with urgent and routine dental needs. We're so happy to see our patients returning to us over the years with their problems resolved and still smiling.
Meet the team at darwoodandtanner.co.uk.
Collect a 25,000 Abios welcome bonus with the new Barclaycard Abios Plus credit card when you spend £3,000 in your first 3 months. That could whisk you from everyday to getaway. Check your eligibility now. Search Barclaycard Abios Plus. Representative example, 72.4% APR representative variable. Purchase rate per annum, 23.9% variable. Based on a credit limit of £1,200. £20 monthly fee. Subject to application and financial status. Eligibility and conditions apply. Welcome bonus for new customers only.
Say hello to... that lets you compare the best leasing deals on the market from the UK's most trusted leasing providers. Auto Lease Compare will get you into a brand new car for less. You pick the car, we find the deal, inclusive of warranty, road tax, and free delivery. Say hello to leasing. Say hello to Auto Lease Compare. Auto Lease Compare.
At PensionBee, we're building a pension company you can believe in. Be pension confident. Join at pensionbee.com. Capital at risk, authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
A couple of emails coming in on the subject of the Queen in that wheelchair. We'll come back to the conversation in a moment. Julie, in Suffolk, millions of people use mobility aids, including many children. They need to know zero shame is involved. If she's otherwise well, the Queen could set such a powerful example. Tom in Leeds, this is an interesting idea. I think it's time for a regency. Don't make the Queen give up everything. Just have the option for the Prince Regent to act on her behalf. She is mid-90s. That is an interesting idea. I wonder whether that seems to make sense. And Stuart says, with a heavy crown, I read that it weighs £5. What does that mean? Of course, many of you don't even know what. I don't mean this nasty, but you don't. That's like 2.5 bags of sugar on your head. Well, imagine you're 96 with mobility issues, and you're asked to wear something that's worth like 2.5 bags of sugar on your head. I mean, not literally 2.5 bags of sugar. That would be quite something. That's something to keep going all the time, isn't it? All right, that regards the Queen. She will not be there. Of course, her son, Prince Charles, and his son, Prince William, will be. But what about the political meat that we shall be hearing? LBC's political editor Theo Usher joins us from outside the Houses of Parliament. Theo.
Good morning, Nick. Yes, I'm just outside the Sovereign's entrance, and this is where Prince Charles is going to be arriving, as you say, with Prince William and the Duchess of Cornwall in the next hour or so. I'm looking over the road, and we're already seeing the dignitaries turn up, the various ambassadors. We've had the ambassador, I'm looking now, from Uzbekistan, the ambassador from France, all turning up to sit in the Lord's Gallery to hear what Prince Charles has to say. In terms of the meat, expect this Queen's speech to be about delivery. Boris Johnson wants to try and ensure that when it comes to the next election, he has got plenty to tell voters that he has done in the course of this last Parliament. So there'll be legislation we'd expect on the NHS. Boris Johnson had that promise to build 40 new hospitals. There'll be promises when it comes to crime and policing going back to 2019, and that promise, of course, to deliver 20,000 extra police officers. And then crucially, there's going to be legislation when it comes to Brexit, making the most of the fact that we have now left the European Union, as well as levelling up, because, of course, that has been Boris Johnson and Number 10's big focus for the last year. But interestingly, will there be something on the cost of living crisis? Andy Haldane telling you yesterday, of course, that we're going to experience a recession more likely than not by the end of the year that could run right through to 2024. What will Boris Johnson have in this speech? And I'll give you an early indicator without giving too much away. I don't think there's going to be anything too specific in, and that will provide Labour with plenty of opportunity to criticise him.
Theo Usherwood reporting. We heard that story about the woman who wanted to get to Goodmayes and the guard wasn't available. Chris points out, the ramp wasn't available. Chris points out that's why you need guards on trains. Well, I have to tell you, the network that I travel on, Southeastern, because I sometimes see the blokes, and I'm sure women, with those big yellow ramps, it can work because you ring ahead. And normally they're very good, but it clearly didn't work on this occasion. Jonathan in Deal, I'm no royalist, but can't you give this poor woman a break? Whether or not turning up in a wheelchair is a good thing for her. She's in her 90s. She might not want to go. Isn't that enough? Well, sadly, actually, Jonathan, it probably isn't, because this is a woman who, we're very fortunate, her entire life has been about duty. She understands duty, duty, duty. And if it is the state opening Parliament with the Queen's speech, really there is only one person who can do it. So that's why it is a bit... I hear what you're saying, cut the 96-year-old woman a break, but she's unlike any other 96-year-old woman that I've certainly ever encountered, or am likely to. What about the idea, though, of her being seen in a wheelchair? To Nick in Ilford. Nick, you're on the radio. Good morning.
Nick, I use a wheelchair myself. I'm no royalist either, to be honest with you, but I think we've got a Queen that's always been perceived as strong and powerful, always done her duties.
Yep.
She's that older age that she might feel that she doesn't want to portray what she perceives as a sense of weakness. She's also recently lost her husband, which could hit her psychologically in many, many ways. And the big point I want to make is her personal decision. She's not a performing monkey, and no disabled person should be put in the position where they personally that have got to be an example for other disabled people.
Do you accept, Nick, that this woman's entire life, pretty much, since she was made monarch anyway, has been about duty? Do you accept that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so let me explore a few other things. We hear that she's normally absolutely determined to make the Remembrance Sunday service with the Cenotaph. Sadly, she wasn't able to last year. She gets great joy out of giving out the so-called Maunday money at Easter. She wasn't able to do it, and now she can't make the state opening of Parliament. What about the idea that you have a Prince Regent who carries out many other duties, but for those 2, 3, 4 key events, we see her attend via a wheelchair? Would that be the end of the world?
I think the fact that she's been such a strong woman and been so dutiful, you've got to ask yourself, there's something more going on here that it's reached this point.
Well, who knows? And I'm sure you and I hope not. Wouldn't it be marvellous if this time next year we're having a conversation about how great it is to see that she's attending, whether via just ordinary process and progress of her legs, or with a frame, or one of those ones on wheels, or in a wheelchair. Nick, thank you. Same subject. Sue in Oswestry. Sue, what do you say? Good morning.
Hello, good morning, Nick.
Hello.
I think it's got an awful lot to do with the era and the year that she was born in. If I can give you an example, my mum was born in 1924.
Right.
She, in those days, anything disabled or anyone with a disability was sort of frowned upon, and, you were shielded away, and it wasn't a thing. Now, my mum came to visit me in South Africa when she was only 60. She had a heart attack.
Oh,
and she had to go back to the UK, and being a long-haul flight and getting to the airport, they decided to get her a wheelchair. And she was absolutely mortified. And we said, well, you can't walk there because, your heart and whatever. So they organised the wheelchair, and she decided that it would be better if she put her coat over her head so that nobody could see her.
No.
She was sitting, the whole time she was waiting to go, she sat with a coat over her head. And they wheeled her through everywhere to get onto the plane. And when she got out the other end at Heathrow, according to my brother, she also put the coat over her head. So, and she was born in 24. And I think it's that whole perception of how you were brought up and people staring at you. And if the Queen's got knee problems or back problems, trying to get out of that chair could cause an issue. And then if she's stuck, then what's going to happen?
I hear what you say. I think, being looked at all her life, well, that's something the Queen, probably more than anyone on earth, has now had to get used to. And obviously, you wouldn't make it her first trip, you would rehearse. And you'd have 2 hulking great chaps there, William and Charles, come to mind instantly, one on either side, picking up mum and grandma, respectively. I've done it myself with my mum, and it only took me, I'm sure, with rehearsals, and gosh, 2 of us, it would have been even more plain sailing. Sue, thank you. Time for one more. Maggie in Putney. Maggie, good morning.
Good morning, Nick. I just wanted to say that I'm in a wheelchair myself.
Yes.
I love the Queen. I had polio when I was younger, and I was really putting a scrapbook together with her and the children and the family.
Yes.
It was a great source of comfort to me.
Right.
I feel that she should have, unless it's her frailty, she should have gone in a wheelchair up the aisle. She could have gone in a crystal-studded wheelchair and still read it, because, as I say, unless it's her frailty, because we've got to remember that President Roosevelt run his country in a wheelchair.
He did. And
so you see, the thing is, the Queen has been around long enough and being with people with disabilities, visiting, and she's always made aware and kept up to date with all parts of humanities. And I feel that, unless it is her frailty,
All right.
she could have done it.
Okay. Maggie, thank you. Simon, apologies I couldn't get to you. Andrew and Seth and others, I'm done for another day. Save to text must be a special show because we're going to be in and among the British troops serving in Finland, so close to Ukraine in that war. So tomorrow's show coming to you from Finland. Be sure to tune in for that one. I'm done for another day. James O'Brien's the other side of the news show on LBC. I'm with you tomorrow morning from 7. Meantime, stay safe.
Thank you, Nick. It's approaching 10 o'clock, and I am about to give you the most compelling evidence yet, perhaps, of just how soft I am. So I don't know how far you go back. Is it 3 weeks we go back where the front pages were, don't they know there's a war on? It's time to move on. I've had enough of this Partygate. And then we had 2 weeks of absolutely essential that Keir Starmer is investigated. You had one newspaper putting letters from politicians on its front page telling Durham police to investigate. And of course, if a fine were to be issued, then Keir Starmer absolutely should resign. I think one headline was, it's the end of the Keir show. That was 24 hours ago. And now, well, he shouldn't be promising to resign if he gets a fine, like we said that he should. And it's time to start talking about it all again.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
From Global's newsroom at 10 o'clock, the policing minister has told LBC we can't spend our way out of the cost of living crisis. Kit Malthouse says today's Queen's speech will set out ways to dynamise the UK economy. But Labour's Shadow Education Secretary, Bridget Phillipson, says she isn't expecting much to help struggling families.
Your listeners will be aware that when they go and do the weekly shop or fill up their car at the petrol pump, or when those gas and electricity bills have arrived, everything is more expensive. And so far, we haven't seen action from the government. Labour set out a clear plan around providing support for up to £600 funded through a one-off windfall tax on oil and gas producers.
The Queen is missing the state opening of Parliament for the first time in almost 60 years due to her mobility issues. Prince Charles will read the speech instead. You can watch it all live on Global Player. The bodies of 44 civilians have been found in the Kharkiv region in Ukraine. An official says they were discovered inside a 5-story building that collapsed in March after it was bombed by Russia. Elsewhere, the key Black Sea port of Odessa has been hit by a number of missiles. A public inquiry into the death of a man in police custody in Scotland will begin in Edinburgh this morning.